There is a podcast about an island in the North Atlantic where people have been looking for an incredible treasure for more than 200 years.
Hello and welcome back to Could It Be?
An Oak Island podcast.
We are your hosts, Deidre and Dustin White.
That's us.
That is.
We're here. Hey, it's Oak Island Day.
Yes, it is. Okay,
All right, so we're a little bit late to getting this podcast recorded,
Mhm.
but never fear. Here it is.
But never fear, here it is. That is the best way to put it.
We're doing what we can to make sure the next one is a little more timely. But we're here to talk about the Fellowship of the Ringbolt, an exciting episode. I had a great we've been anticipating this episode all season because
Ringbolt.
Well, before the season began, as you like to point out very, very often.
What?
Very often. That Maddie Blake special.
Yeah.
Before season 8 premiered, where Billy Gerhardt, our hero.
The one and only.
Handed Maddie Blake the Ringbolt. And we're like, what?
What?
And so we've been anticipating this episode for a long time. And boom, last week,
we got
delivered.
It. Yes. Oh, man. It's nice when you get all these clues, like at the beginning. And you know me, I'm like a little detective. I want to go in and pick apart what they've said and see what's coming next.
You're a regular Nancy Drew.
I am a Nancy Drew, but a Deidre White, actually. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm wearing my Billy shirt today.
Oh, yeah. It's Gerhardt Green, right?
It's Gerhardt Green. You know, this is something like I'm literally wearing a Billy outfit because I'm wearing shorts and I'm wearing a long sleeve like Gerhardt Green shirt.
Yeah.
That's how I roll.
It is how you roll.
I look good in these colors. I prefer shorts. There we go, Billy. Thank you, Billy.
There you go, Billy.
Billy, you're an inspiration for us all.
That's right.
Fashion inspiration.
For fashion me, and many other things, of course.
Yeah. So, lots of stuff happened in the swamp this episode.
Mm-hmm.
We had some action down in the money pit.
Oh, geez. Yeah. So we had swamp.
We had some analysis going on.
Yep.
So what do you want to talk about first?
Carmen. We had some Lot 25, some Samuel Ball stuff.
Mm-hmm. And before we get into any of that, man, the country has taken a real hit with weather this week.
Oh, my goodness.
All over the place.
Yes.
We have friends in Texas that have just been they've been hit by snow for the first time in probably their lives. Maybe not, but it's crazy out there right now as far as weather goes. Even where we live, we don't ever get snow, like maybe an inch a year.
We get this every handful of years. Usually we also get the freezing rain and then we're stuck in forever.
We got somewhere close in the neighborhood of 8 to 12 inches of snow.
I want to say in our backyard it was probably 8, probably got closer to 12 out at Mom's. But
yeah, so it's been real.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't usually get that. I think the last time we got something like that in our neck of the woods was 2007.
Mm-hmm. So
that's a long time ago. So it doesn't happen very often, and it's not just here; it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Wait, do I have the clip? This one.
It's Markapalooza. They're everywhere.
Well, it doesn't really go perfect with it, but
no,
it's a snowapalooza, and it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
We haven't had any fantastic Terryisms this year, I don't think.
We've seen less of Terry because they've been not focusing as hard in the money pit.
Well,
they've been doing a lot in the money pit, but we've been the TV cameras have been really focused in the swamp.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. After the next week on, which is now today on the Curse of Oak Island, I think we're going to the money pit.
All right, good.
Yeah!
Well, we'll get there. So do you want to talk about the swamp first or what?
I think we should talk about Lot 25 first.
Oh, sure.
Unfortunately, that was where we spent the least amount of time. So my notes were smallest there, but I want to talk about Laird's favorite place.
This is Laird's happy place.
It is his happy place.
He loves working on the ball property because that's his area of expertise, right?
Mm-hmm. And he's told us in the past, it was lots 25 and 26 together merged were his main estate.
Mm-hmm.
But that's his jam. That's his bread and butter, and he's excited to be out there. And we had Liz helping him out there.
Wait, was this the very same lot that Jack Bagley was digging his own grave in last year?
I think so.
Okay.
I think it was.
Well, at least he climbed out of that.
I'm glad to see Jack back, or else I would have been testing that test
thankfully, Jack made it out of his grave.
Mm-hmm.
Out of his test pit that he did. They told him it was a test pit, but...
They told me it was a test grave. Hey, Jack, go dig over there. Oh, sorry, Jack. We picking on you.
Yeah, he went to town.
So Marty and Alex head over to Lot 25, where, like we said, the Ball Foundation is, to see how work is going out there.
You got half the trail team out there.
Yeah, about 50%. And they're talking with Laird as who's working on a test pit, and Marty points out, he's like, this isn't the, like, central foundation of the Ball estate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's like, no, this is just a stone-lined pit. Had a lot of organics, not much as far as artifacts. And I'm thinking, no, Laird's digging in the compost bin. That's unfortunate. But I mean, it's all important. Maybe we'll get to find out what Samuel Ball liked to eat besides cabbage.
He was probably big into cabbage.
I bet you he was.
Yeah. So, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
Laird's there. Liz is there. Liz kind of gives them a breakdown of what they've been focusing on at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it?
Actually, sorry. As Marty, yeah. So let me back up here. Laird takes him over to Liz.
Oh, that's right.
Right. So, and she's working in an area that they've just started on,
Mm-hmm.
and thinks it's an interesting spot. She pulls out what is a piece of pottery.
Yep.
To show them, and says it's like a
tortoiseshell design.
Yeah, it's a well, Laird mentions that it's a tortoiseshell design, but she says it's like a red glaze.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first of that kind that they have seen come out of there.
It really gets me back to that first Bobby Dazzler that Gary found that they took to, I don't remember who they took it to, but he was telling about secret recipes.
Written in code?
Yeah, for red.
Mm-hmm.
Red pottery.
Red glass.
Pottery's
a little different, especially like with dyes. Red is that's a simpler color to make, especially for clothing and stuff. You can find it easier out in the wild.
It was a joke.
Oh.
I'm not saying that the red glazed pottery is the same as the red glass, but it's okay. Let's move on.
Gee, thanks. But so they're talking about that they found like a big variety of stuff at the location, and Marty's like, okay, so that would have been like a sign of wealth back then, right?
Yeah, lots of stuff.
Yeah.
If you can afford a lot of stuff, you're rich.
And Laird points out, well, not even just a lot of stuff, but like the variety of stuff that's coming out of there. And there's stuff he hasn't even seen before. Okay, I get a feeling Laird's seen a lot.
Laird has seen a lot. You can tell.
So if he hasn't seen some of the stuff that's coming out of there, I think that's a pretty big deal. Marty asks if they're looking at the pottery, if he'd be able to date it. And Laird's saying end of 18th into the 19th century, if he had to guess.
That's about the time of the discovery of the money pit, so checks out.
Yeah, I mean,
that's about the time that Samuel Ball lived there, so it checks out.
I mean, like he what'd he say? He said that it all lands solidly within his life.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like it would have been from someone else. It would have aligned with what we think, when he lived there, and would it have been someone coming in behind or before. I thought it was really interesting. Alex chimes in about the question we've all been having.
What's that?
What happened to the tunnel from last year when they were doing the
scope? Yeah,
the scope through the tunnel, and then we couldn't get any further, and then the light got, it was dark, and Billy's like ready to tear it up, but gotta slow your roll.
Well, you gotta do it not with Billy's trowel, unfortunately.
I know, but he's you know,
You gotta do it with Laird's trowel, not Billy's trowel. Okay.
but apparently Laird's very quick with the trowel. I mean, rumor has it.
You know, I bet he can like spin it on his hand, kind of like a 6-shooter, you know, like a Wild Wild West, and then like holster it really fast.
Yeah, probably.
I bet he can. I bet he's tried.
Like,
Even if he can't, I bet he's tried.
He's tried. That's probably like a prerequisite to getting into like an archaeology program. Can you spin it from your hip?
Mm-hmm.
You know. And
well, we need to ask him next time we chat with him if he's ever tried spinning it like a 6-shooter and put it in a holster.
Yeah, we'll have to ask him post-season. Okay, so
it's happened.
I guarantee it's happened, and can you show us? But
he whips out his trowel and starts doing like tricks with it. Yeah.
Oh man.
Like he's a magician with a coin, you know, on his knuckles. Yeah.
Yes, that would be pretty good. Yeah, Alex wants to know where it went, if they ever found it, and Laird says, I love it. He's just like, yeah, you know, we did, and Alex is like, ... Like, I can see it, and he's saying that Laird's saying they're gonna do a test pit, probably like a meter off of it, and see what comes up there. And okay, yeah, that makes sense. We'll probably get Jack in there digging to see if he can get to the side where the potential tunnel is. But as Laird has said, they are literally just getting started in here. That's why, you know, it's not really cleared out. We've still got a lot of tall grass.
Yeah, this is like Laird's baby too.
Oh yeah.
You know, what he's doing there is probably after hours. Like everybody's getting ready to go home. He's in the twilight hours because he's probably all day working in the swamp. And he's like, well, I gotta give some attention to my baby. And he goes up to lot 25 to do his work up there.
Isn't the island like Rick's baby? But this lot, I guess, is Laird, like he's like the sub baby. I don't know.
Sub baby. Is that like the baby you get in a cake today? Submerged baby in cake because today's Mardi Gras.
Oh, it is?
I believe so.
That means you'd get a king cake with a little baby in it.
Laird's baby.
Laird's baby.
What are we talking about? You're weird. Stop.
Maybe we should send him a king cake next year.
Why?
I don't know.
So he can dig and find the baby? And it's like, hey, Laird, you haven't been finding much lately. Here, find a baby. No, he's been finding plenty, okay? Leave him alone.
We'll send it to Jack because he knows instantly to dig, and we'll see if he'll time himself to how fast he can find, because it's tiny.
If you don't know what a king cake is, it's like a Mardi Gras tradition. It has a tiny baby in it. Okay? Don't eat the baby.
Please
That's
don't.
the moral of the story.
Okay, this has to stop.
Yeah. All right.
This is out of control.
All right, so we're kind of wrapping up with lot 25. Laird's doing some work.
Liz is doing some work. And on the next time on, all of a sudden we see it's like it's cleared out, right?
Ooh.
And there's like I just remember seeing this flash, and I was like, "Dang, Laird's quick with the trowel."
And then in my head, all I'm seeing is him spinning it on his finger.
Yeah,
you know, putting it in his holster and blowing it off.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. With his very special trowel. Okay,
You're jealous.
I am jealous,
Yeah,
actually. Laird, can I be your apprentice, please? Oh my gosh,
He
did I
probably
just
wants
get my
somebody with
notes
actual
out of order?
credentials.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I wouldn't blame him.
All right, so we going to the money pit or we going to the swamp?
You pick.
Well, might as well save the bigots reveal for last, even though we already talked about it at the top of the show. But let's do the money pit.
Okay.
All right, so at the money pit, the first time we get there, we see Scott, Terry, Steve.
Mhm.
Terry's asking Steve if they have a number for this case, this micro case on.
Yes, it is CD.
I guess not really case on. Borehole.
No, it's a borehole. CD 8.5.
Dang.
He's putting the CD in.
See, I got that one wrong on Oak Island Trivia last night. We had one of our friends and one of our listeners, Agnes Brooks, write the Oak Island Trivia questions, and I was sure it was like CB 8.5.
Well, I could see where you get CD and CB and all that, but it would be less confusing if we just went back to the old naming system. Just
Okay.
gonna
Give that a rest.
I know.
It's not the end of the world
Okay.
that they're doing the numbers in a way you don't prefer.
I understand it. I know why it's that way.
I don't think you
I know
understand it.
I clearly understand it. I understand the 5 foot by 5 foot squares, and then within it we're dissected up and onto our 2.5 feet
Well,
squares.
who told you
within
that?
Well, simple math. And then also there's the fact of the interview that the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond did with
Meow Meow Nevin.
with Meow Meow Nevin and Sir
Guppy.
Stephen of Guptill, Guppy, also known as, and him explaining that I may have submitted a question as far as not liking the way that they're naming it right now, and was giving them a hard time, and they may have knew exactly who it was.
They didn't say it was you?
Not at first.
And they're like, oh, it's that one gal
It's
from that
that
crazy
one
podcast.
Really annoying gal that won't let it
It's from
rest.
that gal from that podcast where they don't take anything seriously. And they
We
laugh
do
too
too.
much.
We
I
take
know.
it seriously.
That's just funny. It's
It
just
is
funny that
funny.
they pegged you.
Yeah, oh, they totally pegged me. I will behave myself from now on and stop giving them such a hard time. I just had to say my piece.
I've heard that like for the past 10 years from my own life and my own like.
Oh, I've never
things.
promised you anything.
Well, why? Like.
Well, you just said for the last 10 years, but I want to be clear. I've never made any promises.
I don't know.
Oh, hey, Emma.
What's up, Emma? Can we help you? Sweetheart, our daughter just joined us and wants to be part of this podcast today.
Okay.
And I don't know what she's doing, but whatevs. We love you, Emma. All right. So continuing at the Money Pit, Clotworthy, Robert, goes on to explain that they are hoping that they are in the Tupper shaft. And we get an animation that shows CD 8.5 being right into one of the walls.
Right.
Not left, right.
No, in the center, like within.
So not the right,
wall.
not
No,
the left,
no.
in the center.
In the center.
Okay.
So, and then we have 3 mini sausages that look like they're ready. We hear Terry say that, oh, look, it looks like we have 10 feet ready. And Steve's like, I'll go get them. And he picks it up, and there's a section that starts at 18 feet, 24 feet, and 28 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, okay, Steve picks it up, and he just like, pew, flings it. I was like, dang, are those things light? Because
He's used to it. It's part of his job. You know, when you're at a job and you're doing something over and over again, you get really good at like whatever.
So he has really strong sausage slinging muscles.
Like back in the day, I would like work in grocery and stock shelves. Man, I got so good. At not just stocking the shelves, but like riding on a pallet jack, like it's a scooter. Man, I used to like almost fall off of it at first, but after time, you become a pro and you could go like do like cookies. Yeah. Like I'm at the Daytona 500 or something, you know?
The Daytona 500. Anyways,
all right,
we have
back to the Money Pit.
3 mini sausages at 18, 24, and 28 feet. They come over, and Terry's like, wood at 24.
Woo-hoo!
And Scott's excited because he's like, more wood. Yeah, this is what we want to say. It felt like there should have been a sound effect of a crowd cheering in the background.
Or like one of those horns. Pew, 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 pew.
Pew, 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 pew. I was thinking the crowd goes wild.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, I like the
Probably
air
both.
horn though.
Both
Yeah,
would be good.
that'd be great.
You know, someone like brings out the horn right behind Guppy and just like gives him a heart attack.
Oh, that's so mean. I would die.
Pew, 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 pew.
I would lose my mind. And at that point, you're lucky to be wearing a helmet because you like hit the ground hard and wah.
Yeah, he could probably take it though.
Probably, especially if he's wearing his helmet like Scott always tells him to.
Steve's a tough guy. He could take it. All right. So then what?
Then what?
Yeah, then what happens? Like they're excited about the wood.
And they're like, well, I guess we're taking it all the way to the bottom with this
the
one.
The crowd goes wild. Yeah.
It's like, yes, of course we're going to take it all the way to the bottom.
Scott recommends that, doesn't he?
Yeah. I think he kind of implies that needs to happen.
For sure.
For shizzle my nizzle.
Yeah.
Hey, where'd the rest of my money pit note go?
That's all the Money Pit we got this week.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, so they're going down the wall, and I remember kind of giggling to myself, and Scott's like, yeah, let's see if it, maybe it'll walk on the inside a little bit, and then we'll get to the get some of the floor. And I'm thinking, okay, Scott, you can't tell the well where it's got to go. Don't get too bossy.
All you can do is cross your fingers and hope.
Yes. I mean, he is the project manager, but I don't think he can control inanimate objects.
I don't think so either.
No.
Mm-mm.
Maybe we should ask him. Maybe he can. Maybe that's why he suggested it.
And maybe that's why he is the project manager.
Maybe he has magical powers, and we just
Maybe
know.
he has like telekinesis powers where he can guide it where it wants to go. Maybe that's what needs to be on his back of his superhero card when we ever do it.
Snap. Was that a slight? If you ever do it, let's go talk about the swamp.
Swamp time.
Swamp.
Or do you want to talk about Carmen Legg?
Oh, well, I don't know.
Norville Farm. It's a very short little thing.
It is. Okay.
Doug and Scott
Mm-hmm.
go hang out with Carmen.
Yep.
They bring Carmen a lock that was found on lot 13 by Gary.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something from a few episodes ago, right? It wasn't very recent.
We get the flashback of where Rick and Gary had pulled it up, and remember what we were talking about is that what was this lock for? And to me, I instantly thought it kind of looked like something off like an old trunk or something. But Gary and Rick speculate maybe off of a cabinet or a door. I mean, it's pretty big, so it would be potentially used for something like that. Robert Clotworthy lets us know that Laird cleaned it up and conserved it. Good job, Laird.
Sorry, Terry Barassa. You're going to sit this one out.
Sorry.
I thought he was a conservator. How do you say?
Conservator?
Conservator. There you go, that word.
Yeah. But, I mean...
Hey, you know what? If you have to have a backup, Laird's a pretty good backup.
Laird's an amazing first place. If you have to have a backup, I'm going to tell him on you. So like I was saying, Gary originally thought from a lock or a cabinet or a drawer, but Carmen suggests it's actually a lock or locked from what would have been like a trunk, a chest, or a box, and it's double bolted, which would be something you would want very secure. I don't know what I'd want very secure. I do. Treasure I would want security. Saying it's not your
Spendables.
Spendables. It's not your standard like travel locker, you know. The mechanism inside is much more complex and complicated than that. So, I mean, that's a good sign. Lot 13 is a swamp lot, but they were on less squishy land, if you will. But it seems like a lot was happening in the swamp. I want to know what happened to the rest of the box.
Well, maybe it had drawers on the inside and they had like a painted gold, with that little knob, the little knobby knob that Gary found a couple weeks ago.
But what happened to what was in the box? I'm a little concerned because, like, if the lock and stuff was...
What if Samuel Ball found it?
Maybe.
He just leaves the lock behind.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you ripped open this box or whatever and you found what was inside and you just leave the box and run, I can see why over time...
So you're essentially calling Samuel Ball a litter bug.
I'm calling someone that found treasure if it is Samuel Ball. I don't know. I'm just worried that it's gone.
Well, it could be completely unrelated to any treasure too. So
okay, fine. Well, I don't know.
It could just be something from the ship that was burnt in the swamp. Like if they put a ship in the swamp and burned it, and the metal's got to go somewhere. And they're gonna dig it up one day and send it to Carmen Legg one day and have him render an opinion. That's just how things work on Oak Island.
Okay. My bad.
All right. So yeah, I mean,
Scott looks excited.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool find, but until we know more, we may never know more. On to the next thing.
I don't know. I'm just really excited for tonight and the whole... I mean, Rick looks giddy. Like they're getting giddy for getting close to the actual money pit.
I didn't really see the preview, I guess. I
Well-
saw the preview because, okay, so right at the end of the episode, they didn't show the preview. They went into that new History Channel show, The Food That Made America.
Mhm.
And I actually watched that first episode. It was kind of fun.
Mhm.
It was kind of fun. And they did have a preview, like 10 or 15 minutes in, about the Curse of Oak Island, but I don't remember any of it.
Well, good thing I'll have to fill you in. There's also the most recent one that's been uploaded on the History app, which gave something a little bit different, which was, to me, very exciting because that's where Rick looked pretty giddy and they said, looks like we're headed to the money pit.
Money Pit, baby. All right.
Okay.
Cool.
Are we done with checking out the lock?
Peace out, Carmen. Good to see you, bud.
It is good to see ya.
All right. Then, I don't know if this really needs to be brought up, but Carmen Legg didn't have subtitles this episode, so
Good.
yeah, good. Just
He
throwing it
didn't
out
need
there.
them.
Yeah,
I know that's been a subject of debate across the internet for quite a while.
yeah. I
And
think we
people are
got
like, why are we subtitling him?
we got it. We got what he's saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go back to the very beginning of the episode. We got the swamp, some swamp action with Rick Lagina hanging out with Tom Nolan. Haven't seen him in a while. Haven't seen him since he broke his thingy, right? The scoop thing.
The excavator?
Or the backhoe. It wasn't a big one. I think it was a backhoe.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember when he broke the backhoe? And
Yeah.
he's like ashamed, and he's like, I gotta go off the island for a while.
Yeah, he must have been working a lot because
Yeah.
it's a nice day and he shows up and he's like, what is that? Like, he genuinely looks like this is the first time he has seen it.
Yeah.
And Rick's probably like, hey, Tom's back. We got to show him. And I wish they would have blindfolded him or something and been like, what?
What is this
We have
road
something to
doing
show
in the
you.
swamp? Yeah.
And Rick says that is the proper question to ask. And he's scratching his head saying, we've been asking ourselves that for a while.
Yeah, Tom points out how amazing it is to see something in a place like this. It's not supposed to be there.
No,
It's not.
I concur with that statement. And if it wasn't for Dr. Spooner being like, something weird here, and then like clank, clank, clank.
Man, did Dr. Spooner like save this season or what?
Dr. Spooner is a hero in and of himself. We should just send him a cape.
Swamp Doctor, yo.
Yeah.
Killing it. No longer he's no longer Swample Stiltskin.
He hasn't been.
Okay.
But
I've been trying to make that a thing.
I
for a long
know
time.
you need to slow your roll. So I think back to the beginning of the year and we were seeing this cofferdam, right? That was going to go into the area for them to excavate around there. And I'm wondering they knew going in they were going to dig what they could after draining. I wonder how much these plants have changed with all these new things being discovered, or if they're going to push off doing that, or if it happened. I don't know. Just thinking ahead, and they had such a dry year, they've been able to really get a lot done in that section without needing those.
Yes.
That's just a hypothesis. I feel like maybe it didn't happen.
Didn't happen?
Yeah, like they didn't put the things in this year. Did we see any type of material go across the causeway?
No. What things?
Okay, remember like what they did in Smith's Cove with the
cofferdam.
cofferdam?
Yeah.
And usually
Yeah, they weren't doing that at all yet. Didn't they call that off?
no, they were waiting for the sheet piling to show up because it was at a different job.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so that's why I'm saying I wonder if it happened at all. And because we were wondering whether or not they were going to change the plan on it.
Okay, so it hasn't happened on the show yet,
Yeah.
but we saw it happen.
What do you mean we saw it happen?
Oak Island from the other side of the causeway posted pictures of
Okay, that's
that
what
material.
I was asking.
Yeah.
Did we ever see material show up?
Yeah.
Because I didn't remember that.
Yeah, so Oak Island, this is a little bit of like spoiler
Mhm.
territory or something, I guess.
Well, I don't know.
But like late in the year, it might have been sometime in September.
Okay.
They had there was like the stuff to build a cofferdam went across the causeway.
Okay. See, I didn't remember
I'm pretty
that.
sure. Yeah. I remember it happening, and I have a bad memory. So
Well,
I
that's
don't know.
saying something. It must have been really important to you then.
Maybe people in the chat would remember. We don't usually interact a lot with chat during the podcast, but maybe if they remember, let us know, and we'll try to check it out. All right, so yeah, Aaron, Miriam, Liz, Gary, Scott, all hanging out, doing their work stuff at the swamp while this is going on. Clotworthy is talking about the massive stone pathway on the east side of the swamp. And there's an aerial view of the swamp with two pathways highlighted. So the big main one.
Yeah.
And then there's like a narrow one that's like skirting the edge of the swamp, right?
Yeah. It looks like there was kind of like the hard turn, right? But you're seeing what they've uncovered kind of up that eastern edge. And then, like you said, the main one that they've been able to get in right now, the eastern edge is where Billy's and them are trying to, on the uplands portion, pull away and see if they can find where it's going next.
We're using Billy's trowel up
Billy's trowel.
Yeah, there's only so many archaeologists, and they're probably like, let us do it. But they got to get some other work done. Sorry, trowel team.
They paused.
It's the Fellowship of the Dig, not the Fellowship of the Trowel.
But they have to have it because they have to have certain permitting and such in areas. Okay, where was I?
So, like, Rick and Tom are talking. Rick says, what do you think your father would make of this? Talking about Fred Nolan. And Tom says that he'd love to see this, and he knows that he was such a big proponent of the swamp and felt it played like a big role in whatever happened here. And to just see something like this here now, I don't know what he would say. Well, he would say, I was right. I told you so.
It made me laugh.
And Rick says, I kind of say that to my brother.
Yeah, because now Marty's changing his tune. He's like, I was always pro swamp.
Yeah, sure.
I remember when you wanted to quit on the swamp.
Sure, Marty Lagina. Sure, bro.
It's on camera. We know.
Yeah, so Rick and Tom decide to go get they want to get some more lowdown. They get Aaron Taylor over there. Aaron gives some opinions about what's going on. Rick then says, wait a second, I see something.
Yeah, as they're talking about the infrastructure underneath, and the debate is, did Rick fall in or did he jump in?
He jumped in.
I think he intended to jump, and it turned into a fallish, and then he played it super cool.
He is super cool.
And I think it happens enough because Scott's just standing there, and it doesn't faze him at all to see Rick.
I don't think he stumbled whatsoever. I think that was his plan the whole time. He just jumped in.
It's to be debated. I have made a GIF, and I can tell you there's a little bit of fall action.
I don't
just
believe
a tiny bit.
I'll have to see that footage again.
Roll the tape.
Yeah, I don't recall.
It's okay if he fell, Rick. It's okay. Anyways, he shoves his hand in there. He's like, what? Did you say there was some wood? Or...
So why did he jump in there in the first place if he didn't immediately go to the thing that he's like, hey, look at that?
Well, and that's what he said. He's like, what's that? Because he saw the hole or whatever, right? And stuck his hand in there, and he couldn't feel anything. But then he said there was another layer of stones underneath, and then what felt to be wood, and then they found charcoal on top.
How many roads are here? It's like road laid upon road.
Well, yeah, you have to have your bottom.
Yeah, right. There's one road from the 1200s, one road from the 1300s, one road from the 1400s. They're just going to keep going down and find more roads. They just keep building on top.
Because they find sticks.
I know. I'm just teasing.
I can't. I can't.
You can. Let's keep going.
Anywho
what?
Sorry. Aaron jumps down and starts looking at everything with Rick as he's digging through the dirt because, you can't slow that guy down. And they get to, a bunch of little sticks and kind of cut up wood, which I was talking about. And they agreed that the sticks and stones under the pathway are definitely something that Dr. Spooner would and should take a look at.
Needs to look at.
And they agreed that it's definitely part of the structure itself.
Yeah, but then they find a little bit of something else. Little
A
nugget.
little bit of coal.
It's like a nugget of coal.
A nugget.
Charcoal.
Well, and like Scott points out, they seem to at this point they should have bags of the stuff, and they just keep finding it. And we've seen it come up multiple times,
Multiple areas.
in multiple areas, and it's just I don't know. It's a lot. And like we see a Marty interview where he says that the only time we know coal was used in any volume on the island, at least as far as the search goes, was 1860 or beyond. There's no need to burn coal on the island in the search until then, as far as they know. So what's the coal for? Is that a whole nother mystery in itself?
I don't know, if they're finding so much of that coal, there's processes that they can use in a lab now to turn into diamonds. I think that's their treasure at this point.
Yeah, so hang on to the bags of coal and get a bunch of how much money would you have to put in to it to turn your coal into I don't think the return on investment there is going to be a good one.
If it's $1, it's worth it.
If it's $1,
If it's any kind of profit.
yeah, if there's a profit, I don't think they'd even break even with the amount of money that's gone on in there. Oh, geez.
So between that, between the swamp section and the next swamp section, they do go to the war room. Let's talk about it. Rick, Alex, Doug, Jack, Scott, Gary, Craig. They're all talking to Dr. Krista Brousseau, but we have a special guest in the war room, David Frenetti, and we have the triumphant return to the island of Paul Troutman. Woo woo!
Woo woo!
That's where we get the boo, 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 boo. You do it better.
Sure. Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
I
but
must practice.
Paul's back.
Paul's back
They didn't make a big deal of it.
because he's probably been back and we haven't. It's just because he's back to us doesn't mean he just got there.
Well, he's, you know what? Paul Troutman is in the war room. That's a reason to celebrate in my book.
Well, yeah,
I was
mean,
very
we've
excited
seen
to see
him
him.
via video conference and such.
Yeah. Well, I was excited to see him. Like I really was.
Well,
So,
I can tell.
welcome back, Paul Troutman.
So Craig is there to tell him something exciting. Well, Dr. Brousseau is actually, but he's talking about the nail from C9 that they pulled out of there
Last week.
Yeah, last week.
Or 2 weeks ago now.
And then we got the preview on earlier in the year. And this is that piece of piece of metal within the wood that Rick popped open at the table.
Yep.
And seems to be from a newly discovered shaft. And the goal is to see if it roughly dates to the Tupper shaft. So they've got confirmation of what they're in, right? I mean, you want to confirm whether or not your dates line up and have accurate data.
Yeah. If someone wasn't really paying super close attention to this and they hear Dr. Brousseau say, yeah, it's consistent with iron that would not predate 1840. Like that's almost like a disappointment.
Yeah.
But if you're paying attention and you see the smile on Rick Lagina's face, he's like, whoa,
yeah,
that's an aha.
Yeah.
They did find the Tupper shaft.
Yeah, it's the confirmation of the data. And when you mark it on your map or whatever, you feel confident in knowing that is indeed the Tupper shaft. And why is that important? Because the Tupper shaft, we know where its location was in relation to the money pit.
10 feet away.
Right?
And then they went on to say, we've never had anything this close. And I'm thinking to myself, what about shaft 2? But maybe shaft 2 wasn't what they thought it was.
I mean, it's very, 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 very possible. And maybe there was enough movement that was a problem. But if you also have the information from shaft 2, and let's say it was indeed shaft 2, and then we also have the information of the Tupper shaft, and we can get the 4 corners, hopefully it's in place enough that we get that, then we can really start to triangulate in closer and closer to the money pit. And the closer we can do to that, the more opportunity for a realistic big dig that would produce results.
It still needs to be over 100 feet wide.
It may not be. I mean, we would like it to be,
Yeah.
but
After hearing about Agnes's dream last night
Mhm.
on the Oak Island trivia, I want there to be a big dig so that they can turn that whole thing into an amusement park. Agnes, who was our question writer for trivia, shared with us that she had a dream about Oak Island and how there was like it was basically transformed into an amusement park, or at least a giant ride. And the end of the ride, you go through the money pit, and then you come up through one of the flood tunnels out into Smith's Cove, and that's like the end of the ride.
okay, but
I
like,
want to do it.
I don't know that that's a good idea with all the artifacts and the, you don't really merge like amusement park and like.
I love amusement parks. That's my jam.
I know.
Just because it's not your jam, don't ruin it for people like me.
Don't ruin it for people like you.
Right. So we do end up going back to the swamp.
Mhm.
Scott and Billy are there with dueling excavators.
Yeah, they're both on either side of the same pit for digging. Kind of made me chuckle, if you will.
So Rick and Spooner are kind of between them and
holding off a fight between the excavators.
Sorry, Scott. I think Billy would win.
Yeah,
So it's just the way that it is, bro.
That's just the way it is.
All right, so Spooner gets into the muck, right?
Mhm.
And Rick,
because Spooner's like, I should be helping you with that, because Rick's in there just like using his hands, putting stuff in a bucket, and
Rick's a doer.
He is a doer, and Spooner's like, calm down, let me come join. And so they're both like doing the hand digging and going through everything.
Which so Billy does too. We'll see that later.
Yeah, we actually both really laughed about that. And they get into like the lots of twigs and branches and less rocks because they're getting underneath the pathway, which we were talking about with Aaron Taylor earlier. And I find it interesting that Spooner points out, I mean, this was definitely on purpose. There's a lot of like axe chips, like wood chips. These were things that were definitely cut on purpose in order to go in here.
Yep.
And there would have been a lot of cutting going on because we're seeing all these little pieces. It comes back to date the stick, date the road. Just like we did with the paved stone area. That's the words I'm looking for.
There you go. Yes.
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 Make it so.
Make it so, make it so, make it so. And so we do go back to the war room again.
Yeah.
We got Marty. Or wait, sorry.
No, wait a second.
We're not done yet.
No.
We're not done with that part yet.
Man, we're all over the place. So Billy's pulling.
Yeah, so they have Scott doing scoops out from one side.
Yeah.
And then they're like, hey, Scott, can you grab this one thing?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, nah, I can't. Sorry.
He's saying it would probably be better for Billy, who's on the other side, and the dueling excavator, to go ahead and to pull, because Scott would get like some of the rocks and such from where he's at. It'd probably be better for Billy to do it.
And so Billy does.
Mm-hmm.
Billy does what Billy does.
He does his Billy trowel precision, if you will.
And then they start taking a closer look at the layer underneath, and Spooner exclaims, "Holy crow, Batman!"
Okay, he doesn't include Batman.
He should.
But holy crow, so that's very exciting.
I figured that would be a question on Oak Island Trivia last night. But
what, holy crow?
Yeah.
I think you've used that on one before. So they were thinking, nah.
Yeah, probably.
So back to date the wood, date the road.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next morning, they get back into the swamp. And
Billy's digging again.
Yeah. Billy's digging. Him and Gary. Gary gets a hit in the spoils pile.
And it's a crazy looking old lock.
Yeah, it looks like it's still locked.
It's like literally like a padlock.
Mm-hmm.
And it's old.
Yes.
But they didn't seem super stoked about it. They're probably like, oh, Gary, they just probably didn't air Gary saying, oh yeah, that's probably like early 1900s or something.
Maybe. I mean, it's hard to say.
It looks old.
it needs to get cleaned up, and I'm sure they took it to Laird because
I don't-
apparently
To
he
me,
does.
it looked like something that wouldn't be out of place, like for Harry Houdini getting locked up in like a straitjacket or something, you know, like that kind of era. It didn't look. It looked like, you know, 1900s to me, but I'm no expert.
It was covered in swamp. Like, how can you possibly think?
You couldn't tell its basic shape.
Yeah, I could, and
It didn't look like a master lock you go to the store and pull off the shelf these days, you know.
no, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't look like
I
that.
know, and I'm saying it looks more like what Houdini would have used back in the day.
Okay, I think it's older than Houdini.
It could be. Could it be?
Oh my god. Oh.
All right, so we go to the war room.
Thank goodness.
Craig, Marty, and Jack meet to talk about what's going on in the money pit.
Mhm.
So I guess we could have added this to the money pit section, but it's all good. Craig tells him about the progress at CD 8.5, and it appears that they have a hit of the Tupper shaft. Craig goes on to say that they think that the next step is to define the Tupper shaft, like you said,
Get the edges.
get the edges, and if they're looking at a 10-foot by 10-foot shaft, it's hard to say what direction to go at that point.
So basically, they're asking Marty, like, okay, let's say the Tupper shaft is this 10 by 10.
Mhm.
You know, we only have so long with the drill rig and everything and the season. We don't know what wall we're in. So where do we go? What are your thoughts?
Gotta
and what
define
are
it.
your
Define it
opinions?
out.
Yeah, someone's gotta pull that trigger and make that choice.
Marty does say at this point, you know what? I am so sick of finding wood.
And they all laugh because they know the feeling.
They're all giggling about it. So they're limited on time, and Craig is wanting just Marty's opinion, what direction to go, and Marty just says, "Do the thing, make it so."
Just do it. Just try to follow the wall. I'm in. I mean, they're already at this point, like Scott said, hoping they can get a little bit of the floor and walking inside.
Yeah,
But
it's almost like here at home, though. You ask me about something, and you're like, "I just want you to make the decision.
yeah,
just do it. Just tell me what to do."
I will narrow it down to a couple choices and be like, and I'm fine with either one. I need you to make a decision. So
But are
the
you
decision,
really fine with either one?
yes, or else I wouldn't give you those options.
Mm.
I give options that I am fine with either one so that I don't care.
Yeah, but from my perspective, I have to still say to myself, which one does she really want?
No, that's
Which
never,
one's going to make her less mad at me?
Neither. That's never the issue.
Yeah,
I
but then
just
you always
give
end
you-
up getting more mad at me.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do, because I'm not
Only
because I don't
because you
want,
won't make a
'cause I
choice,
don't
and
wanna
I
make
need
the
you to make
decision.
a choice.
calm down. It's okay. Hey, I'm going to make a choice. Let's move on to back to the swamp in this recap. Okay?
Sounds great.
All right, swamp time. Gary, Billy, Craig, Steve, they're up in the uplands on the east side of the swamp looking for which direction the stone path is headed.
Yes. Billy's digging and Gary's metal detecting, and we hear Billy say, can you check over here for a little bit? So he's giving a little direction to the Gary there. And Gary gets a hit, and it's iron. Craig digs, and they pull out what looks to be like a decorative piece of iron. And they aren't really sure what it is, so they call Aaron over, who seems to be running a lot of swamp stuff right now. I'm thinking
he's on
Laird
point.
must be
Lot 25.
Yeah, so Aaron's in charge over at the swamp since we've cut off the head of the snake up at the other location. So
I think we saw him, like when they called him over, he was with Miriam, I believe. And so, yeah, I mean, Liz and Laird seem to be missing in action. Are they goofing off? No, they're probably over digging up Samuel Ball's property.
yeah, they're probably in a test pit or two. And it just, Aaron's like, yeah, it does kind of look bracelety, or even as Gary suggests, maybe a piece of a handle.
It's weird how Gary was holding it, and then he handed it to Dr. Aaron Taylor, and he kind of turned it around and made it more of a bracelet, because Gary had it held it like it was like a big letter S kind of deal. So I don't know. I wonder which way it actually goes. But maybe we'll learn more, because they did say that it had like scroll work on it. Or as Gary said, it was like really ornate.
Yeah, there's definitely
So yeah, hopefully we'll learn
Decorative.
more.
Well, and then Gary says everybody agrees, once it's cleaned up, they can see how it fits together. So once we know how it actually fits together, then we might know more what it is, whether it goes in an S or in a circle.
We'll see. Is it an O or is it an S?
I just don't know.
SOS.
S. Yeah, you'd need like a few more pieces, but they also suggested, well, at least Gary did, sending it off to Dr. Brousseau. And I mean, if it predates the money pit, that's good information for them.
It's a real good find. All right, Steve steps in, takes a mark for the location. That was a trivia question last night.
Of course.
And he tells Aaron that he's calling it Seawall Iron 2. So he can put the same thing on the bag.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
So that they're mashed. And I'm going Seawall Iron 2. That just seems like, I'm sure it makes sense to them, just like the money pit.
I'm sure it does. So Gary goes back to scanning, and Billy says, I'm ready for another Bobby Dazzler, Gary.
Yeah, he's ready for it. And he gets a big hit. Gary's excited. And it cracks me up because if Billy's getting out of the excavator to come down and dig for Gary, this is a big deal. Like, this has to be a big deal.
And then what does Billy do?
He digs with his hands.
With his bare hands.
He has no gloves, nothing. Billy, this guy's hardcore. We knew that before, but he's just like, sure, let's see what it is.
So I pulled up this image here.
Mm-hmm.
This is what Billy needs.
Why does he need purple ones?
Well, this is just the first image that popped up. So these are some, I'm showing to the camera now for our live stream, a Amazon listing for some gloves that have like claws on the end of them. So he could better dig with his hands. We actually joked a long time about getting Jack some of these because it's like it would be a perfect Jack stuff.
It's perfect,
but
Jack
you know what?
stocking stuffer.
Billy needs these too.
I guess everybody.
Because he got a lot of mud on his hands.
Yeah, he did. I don't think he cared.
He probably didn't care.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. So okay, hey, is that better? Green.
Yeah.
Green's better. That's a Gearhart color anyway. And I wouldn't even call that green. That's more of like a turquoise.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Anywho, let's go back to what they found. What did they find? What did they pull up out of the earth?
Well, it's the Ringbolt. I mean, we're on the Fellowship of the Ringbolt. That's the name of this episode, right? And this is the one that we've seen handed to Maddie on the preseason, and it's huge.
Yeah, it's about what, 18 inches?
I would say so.
Yeah, like a foot.
Our gnomes are 18 inches, so yeah, I'd say it might even be longer. I mean, and it had the little like flare at the bottom, and then the big old ring on the top, and it probably
the ring part of the ring bolt.
Yeah, the ring part of the ring bolt. It could have been in a stone, or it could have been off of a ship, or all these different options. But
possibilities are endless, people.
It is, and it's very likely, like Gary's waving it around, and
it's like his scepter now.
It is, and I just keep seeing it as like the Eye of Ra, and light shining through it to the place where they need to dig for the treasure. But we all know
Dan Hensky then.
Huh?
Give it to Dan Hensky. He knows
seriously,
where to stand.
just let him walk around with it. And it's probably one of the ring bolts like Fred Nolan had found, and they went out looking for them earlier in the season, based off of the Nolan survey plans. And we saw Steve and Steve, Doug, Gary, and Rick went looking for him, and they found the stone and then the potbelly stove pieces instead of a ring bolt.
Oh, you meant Doug went with them?
Yeah,
I thought you meant Steve dug a hole.
He did actually, and it's funny because in that episode, Doug was holding the prison pole of truth.
He was,
and Steve was digging. The universe is all messed up.
It was almost like they're in Wonderland at the Mad Hatter Tea Party. Everything was upsy daisy.
Upsy daisy.
Yeah, like I don't know. Isn't that a thing where they it's opposites or whatever?
Yeah, but I guess I haven't heard of the Upsy Daisies.
Let's move on.
Okay, I think that's a good idea. Anyways, Gary's super excited and calls it a real piece of Oak Island history. And Billy's holding the Ringbolt covered in swamp.
Yep.
It was a good day. He looked excited.
Yeah, Craig comes around. He's like, what the heck is that?
Well, it made me laugh because they're over there having a good time.
Yeah.
Craig is away. And it's like, the parent coming around the corner and he's like, what are you guys up to? What the heck is that? It's like, when the kids get too quiet and you're like, oh no, something went wrong.
Oh, I know that feeling.
And Craig's like thinking, why didn't you tell me sooner what you got going on? I just saw that dad look at them.
Yeah, so they show him the Ringbolt. Craig's super impressed. He says that they need to give Rick a call. So they get Rick in there, and Rick is just like, he has the wide eyes of a kid on Christmas morning.
Yeah, Rick shows up. He brings in reinforcements.
And he says, I always judge the quality of the find based on Gary's Cheshire Cat grin. See, it all comes back to Alice in Wonderland.
That's
all comes
true.
back to Wonderland.
But they haven't showed him or told him what it is yet.
Yeah, Gary's like hiding it behind his back.
Yeah, because
right.
they like to do a little reveal.
Mm-hmm.
So for Laird, Rick has Laird and Doug in tow, right? And if it's something good, then they're thinking, hey, we may need Laird to come take a gander. And as Gary pulls it out from behind his back, wow, that's all he can say. And he's got his hands up like, what? This
is a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
This is like one of those legendary things that you can find that they've heard tale about, and now they're seeing it in person. It's a big deal.
Well, that's just it. Is it legend or is it truth? And at what point, can Steve mark it on the map because it's been found?
It's true now.
It's true now, and it can be added to the map.
Yep. And so Rick asks Laird what he makes of it, because Laird is there too. And Laird says, well, it's old.
I love it. Classic Laird.
Classic
I'd
Laird.
agree, Laird. It is old.
Yeah, he says he has no problem with it being 18th century, which means 1700s people.
And I love that later Gary's like, what is it? When they talk to Marty, they're like, even Laird said he'd be okay with the 17th century. So if Laird says it, that nobody's blowing it out of proportion. If even Laird is good with it.
Laird's good with it. All right, so Rick's like, hey, yo, we need to give Marty a call. Right? And so, but before that, I guess Billy says that they want to rename this area the Treasure Path.
Eventually. Someday.
Yeah.
Hopefully they keep finding stuff. So it is the Treasure Path.
Yeah. All right. So Rick calls Marty and says, hey, bro, guess what they found?
Right. Yeah. It's like, well, it's funny because
he quickly, he just hands the phone off. He's like, hey, bro, here. He's like, he can't even say it.
Marty's like, yeah, when he answers the phone for Rick. And then when he gives it to Gary, he's like, oh, hey, Gary. It's like he knows something good's coming if it's versus his brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you want?
Yeah.
Oh, Gary.
Oh, Rick. You know what? I bet you anybody listening to this podcast would be so excited to get a phone call from Rick Lagina. And Marty's just like, meh.
Rick, again.
What do you got this time? What kind of scheme you up to now, big brother?
How much more do you need?
Yeah. So Gary tells Marty that they have found something really interesting. They found one of the Ringbolts, and it is magnificent.
Magnificent. And he's excited about that. And this is where they, say, even Laird saying goes back to the 18th century.
Yeah.
If you got a Laird stamp of approval on it, that's good. That's golden.
It's old. It's been in that swamp and that muck for a long, long time. Marty says that Carmen needs to look at it, and Rick says, you know what? I think the next person I'd like to look at it is actually Tom Nolan. Because Marty's like, oh, yeah, Tom's seen some of those before.
He's at least seen pictures or something.
Yeah, so he would be a good eye to be, to get onto that Ringbolt.
Absolutely.
So everyone agrees that the find is absolutely epic, and that's when the show comes to an end. But it was a good episode.
It was a great episode, and they have definitely teed us up for another good episode tonight. Wow.
Well, so next time on, wait. tonight on The Curse of Oak Island.
So Jack and Charles are with Carmen Legge, and they're with the Ringbolt.
Okay.
And Jack asks, what kind of things would something like this be used for? And Carmen responds just very matter-of-factly, oh, Tamora's ship. Like, duh.
This
is what it is.
Yeah, there's only one choice here. This is what it is. It's kind of like what Carmen's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
At least that's what I perceived. He was just like, oh, just, yeah, this would be Tamora ship. Like, he's like, I've seen these. No big deal.
Okay.
And
then we go back to the swamp, it looks like.
Mm-hmm, back to the swamp as Spooner, Aaron, Miriam, Craig, and there's one other person, I'm guessing maybe Scott.
Okay.
Spooner is holding a rock and says, why put a ring bolt in a rock here? He's pointing to like the curved edge of what looks like to be a flat or cut rock. I don't know. And that's assuming that that's where that ring bolt came out of. But we could just be saying no.
They're all spitballing at this point.
It's hard to say where the thing came out of. If the ring bolt was just there, like not in anything when they found it, that why would it be?
Don't know. We'll find out tonight.
Maybe.
Hopefully.
Or we'll get more questions. And I'll have more questions, which is very possible. Sorry, where was I? So Billy responds with, it's possible they were working with block and tackles, heavy cargo, heavy stuff. Spooner agrees. We always hear Gary mentioning stuff like that when he finds, like those pieces of iron on in stones throughout the island. Like, what do you use? Your pole and heavy stuff. What else? Musket decoration, maybe.
Cool.
From coming out of the ground with Gary and Marty. And Marty saying that speaks to wealth. Rick and Aaron Taylor in the money pit. And Rick asks, should we be chasing it? I'm assuming we're talking about Tupper Shaft.
Always chase it. That's the answer. Always chase it.
Always chase it. Everybody's there at the money pit. Wow, look at this. It's exactly what we hoped for. We're heading for the money pit.
Dun dun dun.
So they probably got the corners of the Tupper Shaft or something.
Oh, they must have pulled up some gold or something. That's exactly what they're looking for.
I guess that's true.
That's what they're looking for. I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe tonight. I saw an official breakdown or not like a list of the next few episodes.
Yeah.
And like a couple of them, they're like the title of the episode. Can't remember them off the top of my head, but it looks like there's at least, let me see. Actually, I'm looking at the list now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's only 7 episodes left, so
yeah, and
we got a lot going on
all the way into March.
Yeah, almost to April. And so tonight's episode is called A Bend in the Road. So
are we headed back to the money pit at the bend?
I don't know.
Just around the Stone Road bend.
I look once more
for the money pit over there.
Sure.
That's all I got.
Yeah. All right. So that's kind of it. And I guess we have some little wrap up things like Clotworthies.
Yes. So for our winner of last week of the Clotworthy moment, no, they're over here.
Oh.
The stone pathway curving up and running along the eastern border of the swamp.
The stone pathway won last week.
Wow, it's almost like it was predicting what this week's episode would be called, The Bend in the Road.
Oh, I guess that's pretty true. I didn't have as many Clotworthies this week to choose from.
Oh, you didn't?
No,
So,
at least I didn't feel like it.
Hopefully at least one was really good.
Well, I think 2 were good enough to
I think
make
almost
the list.
all of the Clotworthies are really good. So, all right, so that's what won last week. Congratulations to
the Stone Road.
The Stone Road.
Congratulations.
You won.
Boo, boo, boo,
Good
boo.
job. Now we have 2 more to go up against, and you'll be able to vote for them on Facebook and Twitter. So let's hear what the first choice is.
First one is Maybe.
The possible wall of the so-called Tupper shaft?
That's it. Short and
Possible
sweet.
wall of the so-called Tupper shaft. Okay.
So-called. Why is he calling it the so-called?
Mm.
Okay. Next one.
A double bolted lock? Used to secure a trunk or possibly a chest?
Mm.
So they're short and sweet
Double
this
bolted
week,
lock.
which I know you don't like.
What else? It's part of my life.
Oh, you poor baby. Okay, so we got the Tupper shaft versus the lock this week. So you're going to get those posted as soon as possible.
Yep.
So we can get those voted on. So you can do that in our Facebook group. Could it be an Oak Island group? You can find it through our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Oak Island Podcast.
That's right.
Or you can just look us up at Oak Island Podcast.
Yep, and you can find us on Twitter at Oak Island Pod, and you'll be able to vote there.
Yes. So those are the two places to vote. We're also on Instagram. No, you can't vote there, but you can find us there.
That's right.
That is at Oak Island Podcast. We also have a email if you want to shoot us an email, which is oakislandpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, and if you are a frequent Oak Island trivia player, or if you enjoy it, or if you want to participate and you haven't yet, please join us on facebook.com/Oak Island Podcast on Monday nights, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We have Oak Island Trivia. And we'll continue that even into the off season. We'll go back and watch old episodes and do questions about it. It'll be fun. And what else? Oh, tonight we're doing a live stream pregame at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
Oak Island pregame, Oak Island Podcast, facebook.com/Oak Island Podcast.
Yes.
Be there or be square.
Or miss out on it. And that's really sad because we have a good time. We just chat with y'all and get excited for tonight's episode.
Yeah. And if you want to be considered to like write Oak Island trivia questions, because we're going to probably try to do every other week, me, and then on the opposite week, one of the players or listeners,
one of the fans.
Email us, oakislandpodcast@gmail.com, and you can, do that.
Yep.
Also, we don't ever ask this, but if you're watching this live, or if you are listening and you can come find us on Facebook or on YouTube or anywhere, click like, please. It helps us out a lot. It'll make it so that more people can see it. I know a lot. There is a little chunk of people that are very happy just to have us to themselves, I think. But I think a lot of people, if you share us, it might bring some real joy to other people. I know you really like having this to yourself, and you don't like so much extra competition for Oak Island trivia and whatnot. But you know what?
Sharing is caring.
Just study harder and you'll win.
Just study harder?
But
just be better. What? It's fun. It's a great way for you to also meet other people. Everybody's very welcoming and excited to have new people there. I think we had 50 people playing last night, which was really cool. So
yeah. So like we I don't know that I've ever asked people to click like on something. Maybe I have.
I'm sure you have.
We do it when we say hearts for Scott and whatever.
Scott.
Like if Scott Barlow shows up in our chat, but yeah, if you can throw some likes on like all of our stuff and maybe even comment on some of our posts that we make in weird places. Okay, maybe not weird places. That might be the wrong way to say it. But like we share things. Hey, click like and make a comment. It helps a ton. It really does.
It helps us get seen a little bit more.
And it'll let people know that you actually enjoy hanging out with us. All right. But if you don't, then don't. It's fine. All right. Last little bits of business. You call our voicemail line.
Yes.
Be cool like Mario Lagina. He called it once. 360-836-4549.
Correct.
What else was there? Is there anything else?
I don't think so. I think we're wrapping this up, and
we'll see you tonight for Oak Island pregame.
Yep. So until next time.
Could it be?